So that's what I'm going on. Has anybody who's doing business in the region of Peel, I have seen, I've heard, I saw on the news and I've seen on the roadside signs, as of January 1st, anybody in the region of Peel that is doing short-term rentals, you need a license as of January 1st. I have not seen a lot of it publicized, but something definitely, if you have any of your clients or yourself that have 1 to 4 units, you need to have a license to do short-term rentals. Now, I know Elroy up in your area, they've already done some of that, implemented some licensing issues, I believe, for short-term stuff.
Very common among the townships. It's actually more of a shock when I find a township that doesn't have short-term rental.
Okay.
Most of them have some sort of restriction. Tiny, where the office is extremely
Yeah.
strict. And then other ones
Okay.
they just, like where my cottage is, they basically, it's a $200 application and an inspection from the fire department to make sure everything's okay. And that's about it. It's pretty simple.
Okay. Yeah, I thought I'd bring it to everybody's attention because if you have investors that have rental places, it does not apply to long term. Okay, so if you're doing like a 6-month lease or a 1-year lease, you do not need a license for it. But if you're doing Airbnb or short weekly or anything like that, may do some research. Definitely, I don't know if it's going to affect the region of Halton, but it definitely is going to affect the region of Peel. So Caledon, Brampton, Mississauga. So if you're dealing with any investors or, as I say, clients, get online, do some research, and just see what it entails, but only for short-term stuff.
Did you see the
Julia,
change?
you look like it.
Yeah,
There
I'm
you go.
talking to myself. Did you see the changes in the when you have a rental suite, you have to have a carbon monoxide on every floor outside a bedroom now? That's changing for January.
Okay.
More than just
I
a
have
rental suite, it's all homes.
it is all homes.
After 2015, I think it is. So older ones are exempt still, but all homes need it.
Yeah, it is, but and it's effective January 1st, I believe. So I mean I saw it on Facebook, of course, and
Okay.
I did get in touch with my landlords because I've got landlords that are in town this week and they're just getting their property ready for a tenant to move in January, and they're like, "Oh, we already did it, but because it's this way in Newfoundland and that's the way we know it." So just for liability's sake, it's a good idea to make sure they all know.
And is it for just rental properties or does it apply to all homes?
I understood it was rental properties are mandatory for for 1st of January, but it could be in your area, Alroy. Well, it's an Ontario rule, so
In Ontario, well, I heard it's all
yeah,
homes.
it's all homes.
Anything built after 2015, it's absolutely mandatory. And if it's before 2015, not yet. But if you do any kind of rentals, you have
Oh,
to bring it up to the code.
yeah,
But
yeah,
it's not hard to get a carbon monoxide and smoke alarm detector by a bedroom. And
that's right.
it's a plug into an outlet.
That's right.
Okay. And is it per floor or per bedroom?
It's it's per
Every
floor.
floor.
Every floor. Okay.
Every
And
floor.
if you have like a fireplace or you have an attached garage, then you have to have them there as well.
And I think smoke detectors have to be outside of every bedroom, no?
Smoke
Already,
detectors
yeah, but
too,
now
but
it's
sometimes they're not combo units, right?
the carbon
Yeah.
monoxide detector change. That's the big
Yeah.
change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And people should remember carbon monoxide's heavy. It's down low. Don't put your sensor up on the ceiling. Doesn't do any good there. I've seen it. People laugh. I've seen it. Just last week, I'm like, that's no good up on the ceiling. Doesn't do any good. You're already dead. Like, carbon monoxide's heavy. It's down lower. It makes no sense.
Yeah. Good. So what's going on in the marketplace? Who's doing, how many visits are you doing?
Crickets, nothing.
Go on. How many have you done?
I've been doing a lot of visits in the last couple of weeks. With
Good.
Christmas, it's made it easy. Added two whole people to my list. Forgetting the word that we
Good.
made last week, but some as referrals. So in that, I think I mentioned last week with the yoga studio, like someone reached out to me asking for my recommendation on a mortgage broker, to which I gave her a bunch of options, and she said, and of course, when the time comes, like all this stuff. So I said, well, why don't I add you to my email list now and keep you in the loop? And yeah, that was great.
Okay, I am up to, I've delivered personally 12 poinsettias already, and I have another 7 in my car that'll be delivered by tomorrow. So if you're not out there visiting, you need to be.
I went on Sunday and I went to go visit my client who very graciously has given me all of my business for the year. So he got a lovely gift thing. And I'm pretty sure I was in there about 30 seconds before he told me what he was pre-approved to buy for in the new year. So
Nice.
that was lovely.
Yeah, and again, it's just, you got it by having these conversations. And if you haven't seen the people for a while, don't worry about it. Just go.
And I was surprised because the only thing out of my mouth was, I'm not going to take much of your time. I just wanted to drop something off just to thank you for, working with me this year and helping me build my database. And then out of his mouth came the pre-approval amount. I was like, okay, I said, this is great. So it was super quick conversation. I didn't even take off my jacket, but it was really nice. Him and I got to chatting about kind of what he's looking for. I had set him up on Realm for a new search like last month or whatever. He's like, yeah, I'll get to it. So since I've seen him, I know that he's now on Realm, he's signed in, like all these things. So it just ignited that portion of it. And it definitely, I find with some other people I've worked with, some like the small gift things I've given them, it just sparks conversation about something other than real estate. I recently found out yesterday with a post that I did that my client that I'm working with now for her first purchase, her and I went to the same dance studio for a couple years when we were like 5. Didn't know that. So when definitely like the popping by, whether it be a gift or, whatever, just something to connect with them on another level, I think brings more trust, more connection, all these things that makes it like there's no second guessing who they're going to use as a realtor.
Yeah, so really important to have those pop bys, have those conversations because they lead to business. May not be immediately, but it will lead to business. Okay, and it keeps you top of mind. So if you haven't been doing those, and you need to. Okay.
On that topic, I had a conversation yesterday with a person who's considering selling their home. They just bought it last year, so it's only been a couple of months, maybe 9 months in that house. And the conversation was, have you ever spoken to those agents again? She's like, no. Have they called you or sent you anything for Christmas? No. So there's a missed opportunity for those agents because they never kept in contact with her. Now she's looking at another agent to list her home, and there's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, and again, it's just following up, have a reason to pop by, send them information, just having conversations. I've to the point where I've been giving out poinsettias for a long time. unfortunately, one of my clients did pass away a month ago. He was older than I thought he was, but and in his obituary, in it right there, they talk about, how nice gentleman he was and always interested in people and blah blah. In the middle of the obituary, to the point where it says, and with his realtor, his patient realtor who showed him 40 houses before he bought, they became friends, and every year a poinsettia ends up at the house for a little visit, right in the obituary. It was like, so I've got a poinsettia, and I've talked to her, and she texts me to let me know on Jim's passing, and the and I had another client of mine who they referred me to, who I dropped off a poinsettia to in Niagara Falls, and she said, "Oh, so it's too bad about Jim," and I said, "I know," and she says, "And it's amazing that they mentioned you in the obituary," and so I said, "I need to know when that celebration of life is," and so Friday afternoon, I'm going to be at a celebration of life where all started by keeping in touch with a client who's already referred me business. And I'm sure I'm going to get more business just from the family, just by dropping off a poinsettia every year. Right. So just little things, right? Just being interested in people, asking, just chatting with them. Okay, Nance, I see your hand.
My kind of game plan is kind of a little twisted. It's combining two different ideas. Why wouldn't it be twisted? My plan is to basically design the 4x6 postcards, which should be here. Well, I'm going to do it today. They'll be here by Friday. Vistaprint is super fast. With a recipe on the back. And I'm going to go door knocking with the Christmas cards.
Perfect. Great. What recipe you putting on the back?
I think I'm going to do shortbread.
Nice.
I might have room to put two, because shortbread is like 3 ingredients. So I'll figure out something for the other side.
Nice. And again, it just doesn't have to be expensive, doesn't it? A lot of time it's just your time, right? But it's really important that and not only at this time of year, we've talked about it throughout all year, we've talked about having those conversations and popping by, and you just don't know, until you go. I dropped off a poinsettia to one of my longtime clients last week and earlier this week, and I chatting with them, and they were one time talking about selling their place. Now, I sold this house to them probably over 30 years ago in Erin Mills. Sold their daughter a place, resold her, sold their son a place. And they were talking about, they have a big trailer. They were talking about selling. Well, I popped in to see them, and I said, "So, how's the year been? What's going on?" And oh, big changes, Scott. And she points to a small little sleigh in her foyer that you would use to pull around an infant. She says, "Big changes." I said, "Okay, what's going on?" Well, she said, Jen had her son 2 months ago. David just had twins 6 weeks ago. And I'm thinking, okay, I know the house David's in. They're going to outgrow that probably in about 3 years. And so my mind's going, okay. And I normally drop both Jen and David off at Poinsettia. Instead, I sent them both off a $50 Amazon gift card and just said, "Hey, congratulations on, the birth of your one was kids, the other one, because one of was twins." And I said, "Look, instead of a poinsettia, I thought this might be more useful." Immediately, I got back from Jen, "Scott, thank you so much. Lucas is just a dream." And we sold her place because she wanted to rent something and take the cash out. First thing she says, "By the way, I'm going to need you in the spring. I'm going to look at getting out of where I am, and into something new." So just having conversations, right? That's it. Just have conversations.
Being like genuinely interested in people.
Yeah. Like, and it could be anywhere, right? So you just have to, make sure you're doing something. So what else is going on? Who is any real estate business happening out there?
Well, I had a failed offer this week.
What happened?
We were low, and I knew we were low,
Okay.
but the house was the whole living room ceiling needed to come down. It was all asbestos and vermiculite, and my client is really tall. He touched it, and like his finger went right through. So
Oh,
yeah, so we went in pretty low, and it was one of those like the seller didn't even respond.
yeah, that happens.
Mhm.
That happens. That's okay. There's business out there. Again, there's some uncertainty. Just in talking, as I'm going around talking, there's just, a little bit uncertainty, the state of the economy, how is it going to, be affecting them? Job security is a question. But then it's just a matter of understanding that you have to just keep talking to more people, dealing with more opportunities, right? To get the successes. Anybody who's doing business, are you finding any issues with appraisals? Yeah.
So finally closed on the Cambridge house. Finally, that
Okay.
I just submitted the paperwork right now this morning. So finally that's closed. So we had an initial offer. So we were in a multiple offer situation over a week ago. And they brought in their home inspector, and I don't know who this person was. Definitely not a good inspector, because though they identified possible issues, there was no notes. It's like, well, if you're going to say that this is wrong wiring, but what do you mean by that? That doesn't mean anything to me. When you say wrong wiring, okay, well, what is it? And then so they sent me the report to show me, well, look what the inspector found. And I'm like, this is weird. Like, there's nothing in here that's telling me,
Right.
well, because of this, this could cause this, it needs immediate remediation. Nothing. So based on that inspection, they countered $50,000 less than their initial offer. And so the sellers, of course, said, nope, we're not doing that. Goodbye. And they pulled out. The other agent that was in the multiple offer situation kept on calling us every day. Is it sold? Is it sold? Is it sold? My clients want it. Is it sold? Is it? Finally, we called her back and said, hey, good news. It's back on the market. They pulled out. And she's like, great, I'm coming back in. So she came in lower than what she offered initially, and just finished the inspection. The inspector did find something. I don't know what that was. It wasn't explained to me. And she made it sound like it's a big deal. And then late last night at around 9 o'clock, I finally got their offer. They just removed the inspection condition. So whatever was found is clearly not an issue.
Okay, so is it firmed up now? Firm?
Firm. Well, just waiting for the deposit, but other than that, firm.
Okay. Good.
Finally.
Finally.
That's
Good.
been a year.
Yeah.
This house. So, and thanks to Scott, because of we were chasing the market, it got to the point where I gave them the information. I said, listen, we can't continue chasing the market. Nothing's happening. So either we price it at $899, and here's why we price it at $899. They finally relented, the sellers, and said, okay, fine. Based on the data you sent us, let's go $899, and boom, magic happened.
Yeah, you got to be ahead of the market. The reason I bring up the appraisal is because I had a conversation with another broker, and a very good friend of his, actually one of the tenants in the space, in his office space, is an appraiser, and an appraiser that does a lot of bank appraisals, and the banks are actually appraising properties with the new renewals coming up. And so she's doing hundreds of appraisals. And during the discussion, the appraisals that they are coming in with, valuations, are right now at the pricing where it was mid to late 2019 and early 2020, before the pandemic. So just to keep that in mind, if you are looking at any properties, or, you know, you can, now that's what the appraisals are coming in at. Okay, so if you want to get an idea of where that might be, look at the valuation of any property that you either listing or looking at selling, and just see where the valuation would have been sort of that mid to late 2019, and don't be surprised that's where the appraisal comes in. So if you look at all the appreciation that took place during the pandemic, the appraisals companies now have just washed all that out.
Next, these things have been reduced quite a bit now.
Yeah.
They're selling once they're reduced to that price.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of listings too fall back to like 2020, 2021 prices. Actually, so
So sometimes it's still on the high side, right?
a little bit, but it's fallen back.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
So I told you the Burlington home I sold did not close, right?
Right.
So we put it back on the market the following day, or few days later. So
Yeah.
after the weekend, and 1.599, we got 30,000 more than the last sale we sold for.
Okay.
The deposit is still with us from the first deal. They want it back.
Right.
And the agents keep calling me, said, can we negotiate? I said, no, now the lawyers are involved. We don't have anything to do with our deal.
Yeah.
We negotiated when we sold it. You didn't close. Tell your lawyer to contact our lawyer. And they are in contact because our lawyer
Yeah.
sends me what they've sent me.
Good.
Yeah. So the new deal now is closing today, hopefully, with a much bigger deposit.
Yeah.
I spoke to our lawyer. Everything is on schedule. So hopefully it'll go smoothly. Yeah. And then they were not going to buy.
Okay.
But they bought. They
Yeah.
called me again. We bought an Ancaster for like a 3-car garage bungalow.
Yeah.
1.150.
Nice.
So that's closing in January 15th or 17th, something.
Yeah.
Like that. So my next year deal is already started.
You already started. Good for you.
ahead of the game.
That's
already.
great.
We didn't expect that one. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't, because I told you the husband's sister is an agent.
Right.
They
Yeah.
wanted to deal with me.
Good. Excellent. Well, you work hard for them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so just, you know, I thought that was an interesting conversation about the appraisal. So just keep that in mind as you're looking at your valuations. You can also use, don't forget, you got some tools out there that you can utilize. I think it's in Habitat where you can put in, it's either Habitat or the other one. You can actually put in the sale price of, if you know it, if it's sold previously, and then you can put in valuation for today, and it's coming in right around that range.
Is that what's up?
Yeah. So, yeah, Julia?
Had two interesting things come up. So I was talking to an agent who's looking at my listing, and you know, he keeps saying, I know you've got it listed at this, but what price will you take? That's fine. And he said, well, the reason I'm asking that is because we were looking at another property and it's priced at the same as yours. But when I went to offer on it, they said they wanted $50,000 more. And I thought that was kind of an odd strategy. And I said, are they holding offers? He said, no, he's got it listed at that. And then when he gets you in the offering position, he says he wants that much more. And that this property's been on the market for months. So weird. So yesterday I was talking to an agent because I have a client that's looking at a property in Aurora. And this property, when she flagged it to me on Realm, I went, oh, that's really low. And it's been renovated and it's at 858. And I did the comps and I went, that should be in the 1.2s minimum.
Yeah.
And they paid 1.3 for it. So again, you know, it's peeled back. So I can see why it's low, and it's been on the market for not over 90 days. I talked to the agent and I went through this whole list of questions with her. And she said, well, their mortgage is $1,020,000. And in order to sell this, we have to get at least $1,070,000 to $1,080,000, and they paid 1.3 for it, and then and renovated it after that. So she's telling me what their mortgage is. I'm like, well, why is it listed for 850 for this long?
Yeah.
And is this a strategy I'm missing out on? Because it's just confusing.
Yeah, I can tell you that not a strategy I would recommend, but Michelle's come across that on a couple of the condos that she was.
Yeah, there was one, my client was actually pretty upset at the listing agent. So it was a stacked townhouse in Etobicoke, condo townhouse. It was a 1+1 with parking, and they listed it for $329. The one next door, so this was unit number 10, unit number 8 sold in June for $530. And this one was renovated, really nice, and he listed it for $329, and she sent it to me. She's like, "Oh, I would offer $400," and I'm like, "Okay, no, like this, I think this is way out of your price range. I know it's listed for $329." So then it's on me to have to like convince this woman that yes, it's listed in your price range, but this is a game. Like, so I ended up calling the listing agent a few times, and I said to him, I was like, I don't want to waste anyone's time. Like, I really don't. I know you don't want it for $329. So, like, we need to have a conversation about what you want it for. And his first response was, well, if I knew what it would sell for, I'd probably list it at that. And in my brain, I'm like, okay, like, I get the idea, but even if you listed for like $499 or like $450, like that's much lower than the last sale. You would probably still get multiple offers. $329 felt like criminal. He got 12 offers, and the offer that they accepted fell through. So they relisted it for the price it originally sold for, which was $529. The time between my client seeing this listing and that sold conditional price coming out, every day she's asking me, what it sell for, what it sell for, like, what's the uptake, what do you think it sold for? Like, it's so frustrating to have such a disparity between what we know it can sell for, even in today's market, versus what they have it listed at. So no, this is not a strategy I think anyone should use.
Well, I see that strategy in Toronto all the time, and it's great. And it's like the $1 for sale, which is just irritating. But this one's been on the market for months at $858.
At that same price.
Yeah, months. It's just crazy.
I had a listing agent at Michael Power. I called her. I was like, I see that this has been listed. There's no offer date. We're going to see it. Is there anything you can tell me? And she said, yeah, if your offer doesn't start with a 4, we don't want it. I'm like, oh, okay, great. It's listed at $380, and it has been, but sure.
Yeah. Elizabeth, got your hand up.
I have a question about that. Like, is this a new trend? Has this always happened? Is this like because of the COVID prices and coming down and everyone's just all over the place? Because it's crazy, man.
Well, the easiest way to explain it is agents are the idea of this dollar listing. That's more just a marketing ploy, right? All they're trying to do is get the consumer to call them. In all fairness, I see a dollar listing. I'll tell my clients about it. And I said, in all fairness, like I see it in commercial a lot. Commercial will do it because, especially if it's a sale, a lot of the developers, a lot of the commercial investors don't want to show their hand, right? So they may have a parcel of land that could be anywhere valued from 2 million to 6 million, but they're going to put $1 just so that they can have conversations with the agents. In commercial, it's way more acceptable. This idea of doing it with residential, I just talked to my client. My client goes, well, what's the idea of $1? I said, well, if they're not actually going to reveal sort of the price range that it should be in, what else are they going to tell us?
But as a buyer's agent, you would be able to show them what they have ranged, what's recently sold are, right? So
right.
It'll be in that range.
And that's what you have to explain to them. But as far as keeping a list price lower. This is new. I can honestly say it's not a strategy I've seen before. Definitely the idea of doing a holding off period, holding offers off for a period of time, and then seeing if you can, get the proper offer. That's been around, and it's still been around, depending on the property. But as far as, and then you'll see them relisted at a realistic price. But yeah, no, I know there's agents out there that have a list price, and it's like, well, yeah, we're listed at 400, but we're looking to get 500. Okay,
feel
then like it's just, so again, really important that you educate your consumers, right? Keep them informed, let them know, hey, you may have come across this, but here's the recent sales, here's where the value is. I've reached out to the agents, and this is what they're saying. Not a strategy I recommend.
I'm going to send you guys the cover letter I put together. So when we went to go visit this stacked townhouse, obviously, I talked to Scott beforehand, but brought all my comparables, which I had been talking about. But I was like, how can I convince this woman that sees this price, that sees this beautiful townhouse, that this is not within her budget? So I took screenshots from the Treb Market Watch report from the last sale, so June. And then I put it directly beside the market stats from the most recent months. And, I did a little blurb and stuff, and basically it came out that the math shows, so not me, the math shows that for this unit to sell, let's say at 400, the market would have had to drop 22% from the last sale. And what the graph shows is that it hasn't. It's only dropped just about 3.5%. And once I said that, I felt really bad because her face kind of dropped, but at least she got the point, right? So yes, to Nasir's point, when this happens, obviously, yes, we see it where it's super low list price. They hold off offers and stuff. It's definitely your job as a buyer's agent to do as much research as you can to convince these people this is what it can sell for versus what it may be listed for in your price range.
Yeah, I feel like I'm having. Sorry, Julia.
Then it makes you suspicious of everything else in the listing. So
exactly.
when I did talk to her yesterday, I found out, well, the furnace isn't a rental, and it was originally a rental. Well, is it? Now that's not right. And there was all sorts of, it's not tenanted. And that was another reason we were going to skip it, is because my clients don't have the temperament to take, to get rid of a tenant. So, once you see something like that, you're just suspicious of absolutely everything. At least I am. Right? Maybe it's my nature, but.
Yeah, no, and that's a good point. Elizabeth, you have another comment?
I was just going to say, I feel like I'm having that conversation with buyers constantly. When we're going out for showings, it's they pick the ones they want to see, and I have to kind of caveat each one. And obviously I'm doing research anyway, but all of these houses that are actually worth different things, we're seeing them today. They're listed at the same price. Everyone has a different strategy. So it's kind of interesting, but good to know that it's one, not just me, two, a new thing. Obviously, yeah, the $1 listings I've seen before in the past, but this is kind of a, I'm telling them, just because they ask this price doesn't mean that's the price they want, which is I know, crazy.
Yeah, and higher or lower.
Yeah,
that's the issue.
Exactly.
Yeah, and again, not a strategy I would recommend. Definitely, if you have the right property, and you want to do hold off offers, and the only reason to hold off offers is to get the people through, right? To give time to get the agents through. But it's got to be right property, right price, and you got to set the expectations to the sellers, right? That's really important, because then you can certainly share that to some degree with the agents as well. Okay, so that strategy can work, but it has to be a unique property, maybe a unique location. Okay. So, but yeah, there are some strange things that agents are trying out there, and so I don't know if it's because they haven't done their research and be able to present it properly to the consumer and just say, this is a strategy that works. I have not seen that strategy, Julia, that you're talking about, where they keep the price way below where the value is. Because in all fairness, like the first thing as an agent, I look at that price, especially if it shows days on market with no price change, and going like, hey, there's got to be something really bad with this house, so I'm not even going to look at it further.
Mm-hmm.
So in all fairness, it's like not a strategy I would recommend.
My client is doing searches with like 3 months on market above just for fun. And that's
Yeah.
how she came across it. So anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
in the auto email, when you're setting up a client, always put a minimum price. So $1 ones won't show up on your email.
Okay.
Because if you know they're buying something between 300,000 and 400,000,
Yeah.
put them 285 to 425, something like that. So
Yeah.
these stupid things wouldn't, like, it really
Yeah.
confuses them.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
going on?
I think I set mine for a minimum of like
Yeah.
75 or something, because if you don't, what I also see is parking spots.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, unless you specify 1 bedroom and
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
specific 1 bathroom and all
Yeah,
that.
but I have a client that's like, oh, whatever, like
Yeah.
whatever options are in this price range.
Yeah.
In this specific area, he's not picky. So I put a minimum of like, I think 75,000, and it knocked off all the parking.
Yeah. And again, it's important that you do your research and go back to it, right? Always update your research, always check, go back, see what's going on. Really important to let your listing, your clients, if you have listings, keep in touch with them. If there's no activity, you just say there's no activity, but also to let you know we're not getting any activity and there's been no sales, or if there were sales, here's the range. So it is really important that you keep in touch. Okay. Don't just take a listing and ghost them. Just say the market's slow. Okay. Really important to keep them up to date with an explanation, right? Be the professional. Okay. What else is going on out there? Any other questions? Everybody's ready for Christmas and New Year's and kicking off 2026. Everybody's done your marketing plan and goals for 2026. Oh, apparently not across from me, they haven't. Now you've got what, 10 more days? Not even?
That's why I'm coming over. I'm just gonna come hang out with you guys.
Okay. Yes. Yeah.
My mom offered me dinner.
So now, right? Like, this is why going by and just seeing clients and going to the events, this is how you start getting you start getting the momentum going, right? How are you adding people to your database? Okay. I'm telling you, literally last night, we were at the bar. We went to the hockey game, but beforehand, Nadine and I went to the bar at Blue Boat Line, which is right in Union Station.
Jealous.
Right? We were a little early. Our reservation at the ice rink wasn't until 5:30. There was a lineup. We just said, hey, can we just go get a couple of drinks at the bar? And they said, absolutely, go. So we standing there, and Nadine, as good as she is, snuggled right up against the bar, and she said, there was a guy sitting there by himself and just having a drink by himself. And so we ordered a couple of drinks, and he said, oh, you're okay to stand there. Chatted with him, found out he lives in Brampton, works for RBC, comes in to have a cocktail to avoid the craziness of the traffic and stuff like that. And he works for RBC in the data side. His team's responsible for the app. So we started talking about AI, asked a simple question. I said, hey, like, that's cool, but has AI affected how you are designing the apps? Are you using AI to help? And so chatted with him a little bit, keeping in my mind the Ford questions, right? Right? Family, occupation, dreams, that kind of stuff. So we started chatting a little bit more. And he says, oh, what do you do? I love it when somebody asks.
Well, I've been ready for this.
Yeah. I said, actually, a real estate broker, have been for a long time. Do a lot of business in Brampton, Peel region, and even, downtown. And I said, so is real estate something that you're interested in at all? And he says, yeah, I was thinking about it. And I said, well, there's amazing opportunities in the marketplace right now. And we started talking. I love it when he goes, can I have your phone? Sure. He says, okay, here's my contact information. Call me in the new year. All because of just having a conversation.
I thought you were going to say having a drink.
Well, that too. No, he's a Scotch guy. Right. So again, it's just showing interest in people. Right. So it's out there. You just have to be out and have conversations.
I think another idea that popped into my head too is Joseph yesterday went to a Christmas party of a friend. A friend of his invited him to his company's Christmas party. And of course, Joseph started talking to everybody, giving out business cards. And I'm like, holy smokes, that is a huge opportunity to meet people. Christmas party.
Yeah.
So if you can get invited to one, go.
And it's not just Christmas time, any events, right?
Yeah.
Just networking with people, but go with the intention of just having conversation, be interested in people, right? It will lead to business. Again, now maybe not immediately, but you're in this business for a long time. So what is the task now between now and the end of the year? How many people are you going to add to your database? One would be great because it's more than you have now. Right? So, all right. Anything else? Any other thoughts, questions before we end off 2025?
I have a question. So we actually have been doing these sessions for almost a year now. Our first session was January 22nd of this year. So almost a year we've been doing these. I would, as we go into the new year, I would like to hear from anyone and everyone about what you thought of the sessions, what you would like to see more of, what maybe we haven't done that you would like to do. Anything you feel that would benefit you and your business from these sessions. And any other sessions you can think of. If we're not doing something that you want to do, let us know. Yeah, Nancy.
I find that these have really, really benefited me because of the distance. And I feel like it's kept me connected. And I feel like a lot of my success this year has been because whenever you start floating away, the meeting brings you back, So I feel like it's kept me a little more focused, having, to see everybody every week and talk about business so you don't start floating away like a hot air balloon and getting lost in the shuffle.
Okay, good.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else before we sign off for 2025? Okay. Well, again, thank you for being part of these sessions. We're going to continue them on next year. Any topics, just fire them off to Michelle anything you want us to cover. But but again, the biggest thing always is get out there, communicate with people. Let's go say hi, hop by and see them. Do your planning. Okay. Don't just wing next year. Have a plan. Check your daily activities, check your weekly activities, and the rest will happen. Okay. But from us here to everybody there in here, hey, a Merry Christmas. Have a great holiday season, and we'll see you again in 2026.
Merry Christmas,
All right.
everybody.
Bye. Merry Christmas.
Bye, Merry Christmas.